So I just want to address those two who God is calling to quit their jobs um, and leave their job. The time for your assignment has ended, and He has something different for you, and He wants you to leave. I've definitely been there. I've definitely experienced it more than once. And I actually feel like I'm back in another one of those seasons where it's time for the assignment to shift and it's time to focus on something different. And for some of you, the fear right now is particularly a financial thing. Like, so for some of you, you may absolutely despise your job. The grace has been gone for a long time, but this is how you pay your bills and you get, all of your stuff done in your personal life because of what this job provides. I'll address you all in a moment. But for some of you, and I've experienced this multiple times, the hard part is the assignment that God gave you last, you love. You've actually really enjoyed your job. You've actually really enjoyed your coworkers. They've never mistreated you. You've grown there. The job itself was a blessing and more than anything you could have ever achieved on your own. And leaving is devastating. And also it's what do we tell people? Like how do I explain this to my bosses? How do I who have always been good to me. I've excelled at this job, and it's like this is going to hit them, like, out of the blue. Um, and also for some of you, who are in that situation, be prepared for them to try to make it sweeter for you to stay. I've definitely had that happen where they're offering more or they're trying to pretty much do whatever they can do to try to accommodate you to make it so that you can stay. And even after they're trying to, do all these things, you're still having to say, my time here is done. And my only advice to you is obey him and then take some time, ask for some time from God to mourn it. Not long. Take a little bit of the necessary self-care time, mourn it and keep moving. And how he's had to remind me in the past, you know, the same God who gave you this assignment that you loved, that you probably didn't know existed, is going to be the same God who's going to bring you to the next assignment that you're also most likely going to love. And it's going to be also just like the last one, better than anything you could have ever hoped for or even known to pray for. And for my people who can't stand their job, you have to pray every day to go in for God to give you the strength to show up. My prayer for you in this season is full surrender. And my advice to you is that full surrender and to ask yourself a question that God had to choke me up in one of those careers at one point and asked me when he said, "Why can't you leave your job?" And I was like, "Well, I have car note, I have, apartment, I have this." I started listing like all the reasons why I couldn't quit my job, why I needed the resource my job offers. And I remember God asked me a very simple question. He goes, "So are you telling me that you place more security in those things than in me?" And so if God is calling you to leave and your only fear is money and resources, then you do have to ask yourself the question, is your faith really that shallow where you put more trust in these things than you do in a God who promised that he knows your needs, that he will provide the same way he dresses the lilies, the same way he feeds the sparrows. He will make sure that your needs are met and that you take care of him. And as you've seen with all of the people that he's called throughout his word, he has always provided and he has taken care of them and their needs were met. he's found ways to bless people in even the darkest of hours. We have his resume. That entire Bible from Genesis to Revelations is his resume of how he's been so faithful to those who he's called. So for you, it's a prayer of surrender. And what I would do is get in your prayer closet, like I've had to do time and time again, and just do that prayer of surrender of God. Let him know I'm afraid, but I will go wherever you tell me to go, do whatever you tell me to do, and say whatever you tell me to say, and be prepared for God to move fast. Because a lot of times when we fully surrender and God knows that we're in that stage of, I can't stay here anymore, because you don't want to go back. You don't want to do another day there. Like your soul feels like it is just dry and miserable there. Surrender it, let it go, and walk into what He has for you, because it's gonna come, and it's gonna come quick when you do that surrender. In Jesus' name, I pray that over you. So, a friend of mine has recently been blessed with the gift of marriage. The opportunity and the time has come for her to get married, and her and the person know it's time to get married. Um, but they're worried about it being perfect, and they're worried about how certain things are going to get figured out. And I can remember being there. I can remember when God blessed me with a gift of marriage, and it happened. Everything came so fast. The reunited happening so fast. Um, and I kept trying to slow it down. And I can see this friend trying to slow it down. And it kind of just reminded me how there were people around me who were in my inner circle who were going, "What is going on with you? You've prayed, you fasted, you went to therapy, you did all of this work with the Lord, and you leaned in, and here He is doing the thing He said He was going to do, delivering the promise that He showed you in dreams, that He constantly told you in the quiet places that was going to happen for you and do. And here it is, God is moving. That Kairos moment is here, and you're stalling. You're trying to delay it because you don't feel ready, or because you're trying to figure out, well, how is this supposed to happen? Or I also remember the time I had an idea of how I thought the promise was going to come to pass. And I think that's the struggle that my friend is dealing with right now. And that's what we're talking about, praying about. Um, that sometimes when God does deliver the promise, is not only faster than what we expect, or as I should say, it's slow. It's so slow. There's a periods of like we're praying, we're fasting, and we're seeing nothing. Like it's like everything's going in slow motion. And then all of a sudden it's like out of nowhere, it's just a door opens and it's like you're in it. And it's like time, and it's go time. And it's so scary. And I get it because I'm in another shifting season again, where it's God is doing things that He promised to do, that He told me in the quiet place He's going to do. And now all of a sudden, things are happening faster than I feel ready for. Um, and it just kind of took me back to that moment. And God was telling me that I had a dream after I had gotten my husband had come into the picture, and I was trying to slow things down. And I had a dream where I was at a bus station, and I was hanging out with people and I was talking to people who were waiting for their buses and their rides. And everyone kept getting on the buses, and I was having such a great time with them. But at some point, they would have to leave to get on their bus and go. And everyone kept going but me. And I remember waking up from the dream going, okay, God, I know you're trying to tell me something. What are you trying to tell me? And he was saying, you're holding up the process. No more time for stalling. It's time for you to go. And that same day, my husband had become my husband 2 days prior. That's a whole nother story about how fast that happened. But I found myself leaving the home where I had built in Maryland and moving to Ohio with him the same day of that dream. And then things just also just kept taking off from there. And so for someone who's in that position right now, where God is calling you to a place and He's doing everything that He showed you in the quiet place, but you're still feeling scared, I just want to let you know it's okay. That's normal. I think sometimes I've experienced sometimes getting the blessing when God actually starts to move and does everything He's been saying He's going to do. For some reason, it's always scarier than the waiting process. And it's scarier than that thought during the waiting process of, is this ever going to happen? I sometimes think when it happens, it's actually scarier and more terrifying than waiting on it and trying to have faith to believe for it that it could be possible. But I think the beauty of it is every time that I've walked into it, every time that I've trusted God, even though it looked insane, even though it felt scary, I went to another level of faith with Him. That's my prayer for this friend. That's why I told her she's scared. I'm excited because I know that there's another level of refining that comes with this level of trust, of jumping in and trusting God without knowing the details, without knowing how it's going to work out, without having a concrete contingency plan. It is just having to grab His hand and jump. Sometimes the image of walking with God that comes to mind for me is like being on like a roller coaster when it does like one of those scary drops, and you just close your eyes and you just feel your body, like you just feel your body drop, and you just have to try to like hang on to like the holder as best as you can and just trust that you're going to be okay, that everything is going to work out. And walking with God is constant trust falls and just trusting that if He calls you to do this jump, if He calls you to step into this chapter, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be safe. If He calls you to it, He'll get you through it. So it's just in this season, I know He's opening a lot of doors for people. I know He's doing a lot of things that He's only showed you in the private place, but you got to go. You just got to go. There's no going back. Even if you could go back, or even if you could stay in the place you were, you're going to be miserable. And I think for some, it should be scarier to not know what could happen than to stay in the know, to not know what you're going to miss out on by staying where you're at rather than going out into the unknown and trusting God to stand by His word, that He orders the steps of the righteous, that He works everything together for the good of those who love Him according to His purpose. And like He said in Jeremiah 29:11, that He knows the plans He has for us, that His plans are to give us a hope and a future and to prosper us, that His plans are never to harm us. So if you're stepping out on faith because God is calling you out the boat, trust that He is going to be faithful to His word and He is going to do exceedingly abundantly more than you could ever hope, dream, or imagine. But you have to get off the boat. That time is now. There's no more time for delay. Time to go.